Hormones, hormones, hormones. This is what we're going to talk about today. And hormones is a big subject of all the different questions that ask Dr. Cassar or ask Dr. Cassar. What do you think he does for increased testosterone and or not to lose his testosterone? And I know he's under a lot of stress too, so what do you do to help yourself with keeping your testosterone levels not even normal, but a little bit more than average, and to be able to make sure that stress doesn't eat you up, because we all have it so much. So we're going to go over a drink today, and I do this drink 2 to 3 times a week. Mark Daniels is here with me, and he's really here also as part of actually to really verify that your hormones, it's not a sexual thing we're talking about.
Not just a sexual thing, no.
Yeah, I mean, that's one part of it, but, your hormones really are your weapons for your immune system, okay? Your weapons for your immune system. Do you know what that means? That means that you have certain types of like ammunition that your immune system fights off certain characters that start to be able to want to live in our body. So there are ways to stimulate your hormones without taking hormones from the outside. All that does is destimulate your hormones, and a lot of bodybuilders do this.
It shuts down your natural production.
Yeah. Now, the things that we're going to talk about are lubricants that lubricate the glands. And there's 2 different components that are the major components here. We have the Indian winter cherry, which is ashwagandha, and the tribulus, which
is puncture vine.
Yeah, which you can call this other name called, which I've never even heard of it before, called that, the puncture vine. And there's lots of different names for these, but these 2 ingredients, ashwagandha and tribulus, when they're mixed together, and we mix them at 50-50, one helps with stress, and that would be more of the ashwagandha. It also gives you powerful energy, and it helps with energy, supposedly supports regeneration of neural net activity, which would, of course, stimulate maybe your nerves to regrow, because stress kills. And it also shuts down your hormone levels. Remember, when you have a lot of stress, your hormone levels actually get depressed. Sexual activity or your strength in your immune system is affected by stress massively.
And what does stress produce? What's the
Cortisol.
chemical? Cortisol.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what we're really showing you here is this is like when I take this, and Mark will verify this, when we were going through our change of actually changing our foods from super dense foods over to less dense foods, you have to change your protein over. And we got really weak. My hormones went down, everything changed. And I know the thing that really boosted me up, but we used to take this a long time ago, but it was super expensive and you really couldn't get a hold of it. It was cost ineffective. And now, realistically, I just got into this probably about 3 years ago again, and this is probably the most beneficial things that I've found to be able to stimulate my hormones without adding hormones into my body. These have special types of like lubricants in them called saponins. And we'll talk about this really easy, but your body, when you take this, really is stimulated, and you'll notice that your whole system, and you want to funnel this energy, because it actually activates an energy right around your waist, and you'll feel it as everything's like, whoa. And you're really wanting to take this. I take this before I work out. That's why I'm going to show you a different way to do this. And working out, because this super stimulates your body to secrete these hormones, and you funnel the hormones in the direction that you would really want this energy to go, because it's right here. It's not just sexual energy, because you can turn this into actually powerful regenerational energy too, because you got to do something with it when you use these things, because you will feel it.
And overall performance enhancement for sports related and working out, like you were saying.
Oh yeah.
That's what it's mainly for, because as we pass 30, it's well known that we start to lose our hormones. They decrease every year past 30. And I remember Dr. Robert has gotten many questions, so have I get them all the time. How can I increase my hormones? I have hormone problems. I want to do it naturally. I don't want to take these things that we see on the commercials. They're usually an unnatural way to do it, and it will stop your own natural production. But that's what this is for in general.
And you know, to go along with this, you're going to watch some of the exercise videos that we have, because you don't just take this and sit in a chair and push a computer. This stuff is made to get out on the road and run, exercise. It's not made to what you think. Remember, you're taking certain things that are really available to your glands to proliferate function. And so if you proliferate function and you get a bunch of hormones down here, what are you going to do? Be sexually, you know, sort of like insulted all day because you've got this energy activated? This is used when we go on I go on big bike rides. I'm going to go on a super energy hike. I'm going to work out very, very, not aggressive, but intense without stress. So let's just go over the products, and in the next video, we'll show you how to make this. Very simple, just take a few minutes. The two main ingredients, remember, Tribulus, Ashwagandha. They're fine powders. They sort of smell sort of medicinally a little bit. And we're going to cover up the flavor because they really don't taste too good. We're going to cover them up with, one day I sort of switch around. I do ginger root powder, and then maybe another couple of days or so I'll switch it around and put cinnamon in. And sometimes I'll put them both in because that masks the flavor. I always put chia seeds in with this. I try to go ahead and get the intestinal bulk, and it helps wash out things that basically my intestinal tract's lacking, and it's usually lacking fiber or lacking what's called mucoids. The basis of this whole right now, that's the simple version. The secondary part of it is we put silica. I put some fulvic in, maybe about 3, 4, 5 drops, and I put a few squirts of the magnesium and a little bit of Soleil salt, maybe 2 or 3 sprays, or maybe 5, 6, 7 drops. And I always I love cayenne because it activates and potentiates everything we're using. We're trying to potentiate the things we're using, and cayenne has a big efficiency for that. The more complex, I know Mark wants to say something, but let me just finish, keep your thought for one sec. The other things what we want to do too, if you want to add this into the super drink, like I want to go ahead and maybe add more caffeine, so I'll use part of it as the yerba mate tea base that I'll actually use with the blue-green algae, because that's our base, or I'll add camu powder, vitamin C to the ultimate, and then we actually add the green coffee bean extract, which is really special stuff. And it's not, remember, it's not roasted coffee. Then I'll add in maca. It's more of a glandular food again. And then we just sweeten it up to taste with stevia. And stevia has a couple of calories per serving, which I call it 0 calories. There's no calories there. And the sweet, for the sweetness. You can use, remember, you can, and you've got to remember, you can't cut off your sugar. You just can't. You have to slowly transmute it. And sugar, if you sort of think of it this way, sugar is very hard to digest, and you need critters inside you, yeast, mold, and fungus, to sort of process this. So the more acidic sugar and demineralized sugar you use, the more problems your body has to break it down. And in fact, a lot of times what it does is it has to take things out that you put in to be able to neutralize the acidic value. So we can use, here we have agave, and we also have palm sugar. The agave that I would use, I would only use the clear agave if you can find it. This is our OGO brand, and also we have it at Earthshift brand too. You can get a lot of these products instead of on the internet. Our other brand is OGIO, O-J-I-O, and you can get that at your convenience stores all over the United States. This is more on the internet, more bigger, bulkier sizes and things like that, more convenient because everything's under one roof, but convenience is the key. When you need it, I run down to the store myself, and I get what I need at the store because it's right there. So sugar is going to make this, so if you wanted to give your child, let's say, because look, the stevia is good, but it is not sugar. And you'll know, it's sweet, but it doesn't have that cessation to everything, the creatures that live inside you. So you can fool yourself by all these good nutrients. Fool yourself and put some sugar. Remember, the sugar is transitional. It's way better than the sugar you were using. And I would use like a tablespoon of this in here, and you don't just swallow it down. You swish it in your mouth, and you swallow it over maybe a period of half an hour to 45 minutes. So this is the initial sort of lineup of the ingredients. Like I said, there's a simple ingredient list here, Always use the cayenne to potentiate the tribulus and ashwagandha. And the reason being, like I said, we're using the tribulus and ashwagandha in 50-50 sequence is because one feeds the other. The ashwagandha helps with this sort of rejuvenation. It's one of the most, as the Ayurveda is the most revered, famous of their herbs for rejuvenation purposes. So we're using that here because when you have stress, your hormones shrink. And so we want to feed the body the things that are lubricating, saponins. Saponins lubricate these glands. The coconut oils. Remember, don't dry your glands up with a fat-free diet. That's a big mistake. Okay, we'll show you the recipe, part 2. We'll see you in a sec.
Important reminder. All information and ideas are for informational purposes only and are in no way intended as medical advice or as a substitute for medical counseling. Earthshift Products, Dr. Robert Cassar, all of their partners, affiliates, and subsidiaries will not be held accountable for the use or misuse of the information presented therein. This information is not intended as medical advice. The authors, publishers, and speakers of this work are not medical doctors and do recommend the use of mineral-deficient foods, drugs, or medicines to achieve beauty and to alleviate health challenges. Because there is always some risk involved, all persons involved with the development and distribution of this information are not responsible for any adverse effects or consequences of any kind resulting from the use or misuse of any suggestions or procedures described on our website or Earthshift Live radio talk show or therein.